What do you wish you had in high school that kids have today? An environment in which being smart is a good thing, and nerdy is not a bad thing. The internet. My son is in his high school's robotics team. They have tons of tools to build robots to compete, including a big machine that cuts sheets of metal based on what digital file you send it. I'd have loved to have had that. When I was in high school, the most advanced tool I had access to was a dot matrix printer. I wowed my classmates with my complex report covers made with word art and highly pixelated graphics. 3 players / Spotify and the like. I had to carry around my Discman on my long walk home from school. Even with anti-skip it would still buffer every now and then. Don't get me started on batteries too. Nowadays it's so easy to listen to anything at any time. Back then it wasn't. Class of 1984, a word processing program. I cannot write or type for sheet. I have dysgraphia. If I could have been able to get words on paper as easily as we can do now, who knows how my life might have turned out. Digital photography. I have so few pictures of friends and good times we had during high school because no one carried around a camera and bothered to get film developed. But the ones we did have, most are long gone with no negatives to get them reproduced. Edit. To all of the folks saying to be glad because there aren't that many pictures to come back and haunt you. When you're in your 50s you'll be amazed at just how few people give a crap about the stupid stuff you did in high school. We all did stupid stuff. No one is unique in that aspect. You just grow to realize it wasn't really all that stupid. Programming classes. I seem to have just missed that after I graduated. Khan Academy. Probably cell phones. The ability to call or text an individual to find out where they are was a revolution but wasn't widespread until I was in college. Used to have to call their parents' house and hope they were there. The idea that once you left the house you were just in a communication black hole until you returned or actively called someone from a payphone is a big change from the modern day. You had to make plans the day or morning before, and then if anything happened to derail those plans then whole thing was just a failure. Electricity. So this isn't a tangible thing I wish I had. But I have a 4-year-old son and the one thing that I really admire about him and his entire friend group is that they are so open with their feelings with one another. Sounds cheesy, but it seems like kids in this current generation are much more okay with letting each other know they care. There's just an openness with them all that I find refreshing. It's something that I didn't experience in my sad goth staring out the window late 90s high school days, and I really love it about all those kids. Edit. A word. Edit 2. Thank you for the gold. To be honest, this entire thread has made my day. I am so happy that it seems like there are a bunch of kind kids growing up out there. I know there will always be turds in the punch bowl, but it makes me feel hopeful that the younger generation seems to be doing things right. Removed. I'm in college as an older person and honestly, I wish I had the social dynamics lol. And #XB. I was eating lunch and I heard two guys talking to each other and he was showing his friend something on his phone and he was like, bro, it's beautiful, I can totally see you guys together. And it seemed to make the other guy really happy. I don't know if he was maybe feeling insecure about how he looks or whatever, but you could tell it meant a bit to him. It just seems less cliquey, less every man for themselves. I'm sure there's plenty of assholes, obviously, but just generally kids seem really nice and smart these days. I see a lot of nothing responses, cherishing the lack of intrusive technology and privacy, but I feel like I missed out on the chance to really capture memories I would hang on to forever. The only real pictures I have of friends from the time are so limited that it makes me sad. I graduated in 6. And I have one packet of lab-developed pictures from one of those disposable snap-and-shoot cameras that a few of my friends and myself used. They are such fun pictures. They help me cherish the memories. Also, I was really into video editing at the time. My best friend and I were doing everything we could to film and edit lightsaber battles with Force lightning, force pools, etc. My father works in insurance, and he had a digital camera that recorded low-res images to a 3.5 floppy. It recorded about 12 seconds of grainy image per shoot. We made do, and we had a blast. But the idea of having a camera in our pocket that could easily film 4K and enable some truly epic short films. Bummer. Perhaps technology feels invasive in a sense, but it also gives you the ability to look back, and to innovate, and to explore. Personally, having come from high school in the 90s when we did have internet, but it was more of a novelty minus Wikipedia. Wikipedia is one of the greatest repositories of human knowledge, and you can see the sources. It would have been amazing for it to have been built out to where it is now while I was in high school. Better building and facilities. When I was at school, the place was falling apart, and a couple of years after I left they knocked it down and rebuilt it with a state-of-the-art media center and technology and design department with 3D printers and SolidWorks CAD workstations. It sounds corny, but Reddit. I first turned to Reddit when I was in college in 2014 because I had a weird thing going on in my dating life that I couldn't bother anyone else with in real life. Reddit advised me, and it really helped. Sometimes you just need to talk to strangers, as weird as that may sound. If I had known about Reddit in high school, I would have had some help or peace of mind figuring out my very confusing and sheltered high school years. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Makeup tutorials on YouTube. These kids these days have no idea how good they have it. I was looking like an orange-faced, pale neck, raccoon-eyed mess. The HPV vaccine. Friends. Wikipedia. USB drive. If my project file size was too big, I had to carry like 5 floppy disks to school and spend entire homeroom and half of first period printing. Better mental health support. Nearly endless information at my fingertips. There is so much information out there about how to be a better person and live a better life. How-to videos, grooming tips, relationship advice, etc. Safety and wellness like learning that suicide or domestic abuse hotlines exist, communities for marginalized and minority people, and information that make us better understand the world around us. Yeah, there is a dark side of false information, merchandising, unrealistic expectations a la Instagram influencers and porn, etc. But the benefits greatly outweigh those aspects. I went to high school in the late 80s, BTW. Seems like this generation are far more open and accepting. Back when I was in school, coming out as gay would be social suicide. I told my kids this and the reaction from all three was, why? Who cares if you're gay? We adults could learn a thing or two. Fast internet at home. I had to suffer through 5-6K dial-up. That was actually more like 28-8K. That shit sucked. YouTube. I had to settle for Nabisco World, only on a desktop. It'd have killed to have an iPhone in high school. Unaffordable cigarettes. They were way too affordable when I was in Sky. Haven't seen a teenager smoking in years. Nothing. I graduated in 6 and am grateful we weren't completely online at that point. My Facebook still has pictures of me and my GF taking edgy pictures with my new bow and arrow and cringy shit like that. All that dumb shit we did stayed between friends as either distant memories or rumors at worst. I have so much respect for the younger generations based on what they have to go through, unable to escape the social media machine. Their whole lives documented somehow on the web. Chatting with my friends, almost all of us agree that we may be the first generation who doesn't want to shit all over the younger ones because of how terrible of a job the boomers did. These kids are hopefully going to be a lot tougher than my generation considering these things. If they want to eat and be lit, or whatever, I'm cool with that. Enjoy your time before the adult shit show. Schools know how to use laptops and tablets a lot better. Like 10 years ago when I was starting our country's way, of high school, We had those trash laptops and it took almost as long to find the cart, find a charged laptop and turn it on, as that it took to do whatever we had to do. Now I've been on schools where they all have a Chromebook with some of their subjects on it. Like, the whole method of maths for example, is on their Chromebooks. They don't need pens, paper, calculators, books, answer sheets. They just have to remember to charge their laptops. Also, I can check in 1 second if they did their homework through that program, and how well they did it. I can even see the questions that were the most troublesome. So it wasn't necessary when I was in school, but in my opinion, how they work with technology now is a huge improvement. Lack of stigma against LGBT people. This was an absolute taboo in my school sadly, and I'm aware that in many places it's still like this, but thankfully there are many schools nowadays that don't make a huge deal out of it and offer better support to those that need it. The option to delay or not attend college without feeling like a piece of shit. Girls wearing yoga pants / leggings. Opportunities. There's so many organizations, clubs and sports, lots of extracurricular that would kept me out of a lot of trouble. I'm glad that girls in STEM careers is more of a thing nowadays. It wasn't when I was growing up. My parents wanted me to be a teacher. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. However, my daughter is super smart and wants to be an astrophysicist. The academic atmosphere is just right for her. I'm so excited and can live vicariously through her. But I do wish it was more mainstream when I was a kid. Subscribe, like and comment if you hate outros. Begging you to subscribe, like and comment.